you know, so many of us love him, and we've all just have been so lucky to know him. And one of those is Meg Farris. Everyone knows who Meg is.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Meg has spent probably arguably the longest amount of time knowing Eric. And Meg
Are you
shared.
calling me old?
Absolutely not.
Just checking. Because Eric would have called me old.
But not me, girl, not me. And you know, you shared this tweet just talking about how overwhelming all of this felt, but you described Eric and as wonderful, caring, you know, just one of the people in New Orleans. You mentioned, and I'd love to hear from you, how at the grocery store today, people just were talking you, stopping and wanting to talk about
I'm in
him
line, no makeup, no hair, sweaty from my workout, visor, you know, just making my groceries, thinking nobody's worried about me. And all of a sudden, a woman comes up and says, "Are you okay?"
Oh.
And I thought she was, I just didn't connect that people would. And then people started coming up and hugging me and hugging me and hugging me and saying, you know, we miss Eric. We loved Eric. We're thinking about everyone at Channel 4. And I think sometimes we do our job, we're on deadlines, and you know, you're sweating outside sometimes, and you forget that we're family to people out there, and people out there are our family, and they love us.
and they're hurting like we are.
I mean, they really,
because we all lost a family member.
Yes. You know, there's some people who say, "I grew up with you," and I'll say, "How old are you?" And they'll say, "I'm 30." I go, "Well, you did."
Sure. But Meg, I'll be 38 in December, and I remember, I remember you filling in on the morning show with Eric in the early 90s. Y'all spent a lot of time on air together.
Well, let me tell you something about the morning show with Eric Paulsen. So, Eric and Andre had more vacation off, you know, more vacation than God if you added it all together. And so I was the permanent fill-in in the 1990s, and so I filled in a lot with Eric. And I'll never forget this. Oh, I was so busted. Okay, first of all, Eric was like Bugs Bunny or Alvin the Chipmunk. Mischievous, but he must have known where the skeletons were buried here on Rampart Street, because he got away with everything.
And he used to try to tell us to do it. He's like, we can't do that.
Yes.
Right. It's like, we can't
like,
do
Eric,
that.
I'm not you. I'm not going to get away with that.
So Eric would literally walk in the studio, and the news came on at 6 a.m. And it would be 30 seconds to 6 a.m. and Eric would walk in, I had brought scripts home, I had prepared the night before, I'd studied all my interviews, and Eric would just wing it and do a great job, okay? So one morning, I'm leaving my house at 5:45 to be on the air for 6 a.m. And the news director had temporarily moved 2 doors down because his house was being renovated. And he was coming out to go meet people to play golf before work. And he saw me come out at 5:45. And he, out of the dark, it was dark outside, I was so busted, and he goes, "Meg Farris, you'll never make it on time for the start of the show." And I can't believe, speaking about being feisty, I looked at him and I said, "Not only will I make it for the top of the show, but I will beat Eric Paulsen by about 10 minutes.
And you were right.
And sure enough, I walk in, I get my mic, I have all my scripts, I'm prepared, I've studied the night before. And Alvin, our floor director, comes up and says, "Meg, you're going to have to do the whole show by yourself. Eric's not here yet." Nothing new. Literally, he goes, "In 10, 5, 4. Eric walks in the door like nothing, clips on his microphone. "Good morning, everyone. I'm Eric Paulsen." And I'm sitting there thinking, you know, but Eric could do that.
You're like, dang it,
He was
Eric.
smooth. He could get away with it. I was getting in trouble for being late, but Eric, that was just Eric, and that's why you loved him. And you never ever, you know how...
You were never mad at him for getting away with it. Instead, you were kind of like,
it's like your
good
sibling,
job.
you're going to be
You
angry
were
at
kind
your
of like,
sibling.
good at you.
Yeah. No fair.
Yeah.
Mom, he got more than I did. With Eric, you just accepted it was Eric, and
Eric
you
would be
moved
like,
on.
"Me?
Right.
What?"
We would get him because he had the better laptop of the three of us. So exactly. Didn't have to worry about anything until the power cord was nowhere to be found, and there was hell to pay.
Yes. Oh yeah, but I started writing down so many stories. I remember this was just Eric. So I had given a speech at out where they built the external tank at NASA, out in New Orleans East, out in Michoud, and Eric and I loved the space program. We were kids growing up when man walked on the moon and everything. And they had given me as a gift a complete model. It's gorgeous, I still have it, of the space shuttle with the, you know, the 2 rocket fires, the external fuel tank that was built right here. And it was sat on my shelf in my office for years. Now it's at home. And this is how honest Eric was about how bad he was. He came in and he goes, "Darn it." And I said, or maybe he didn't say darn it, but I said, "What, Eric?" He goes, "I came in to swipe that model of the space shuttle." And he goes, and I did. He goes, "I was going to take it home. You would have never known who's stolen it." And he goes, "And when I pulled it off your shelf, it had your name, it had my name engraved on the
I was like,
bottom."
well, I can't do that.
But only Eric would tell you that he was stealing something of yours.
Yeah. He said he would have been like, "What?
And you were
never
okay
know."
with it. You were okay with it because, you know, it was Eric. But I want to tell the viewers, I know the viewers are in disbelief. And I have to tell them that it went so fast that we are all
Yes.
in total disbelief over this. And, you know, Eric, I have to tell you something else funny. In New Orleans, none of us can get away with lying about our age because we all went to different high schools together, right? We all did. All right. Everybody knows everybody in New Orleans. But Eric was from St. Louis.
Oh,
Do you know, I did not
Right,
know
until
how
today?
old Eric was until right now because he successfully lied to me.
Meg,
Tell her.
Hook,
Meg,
Tell her.
and
Wait.
let
sinker.
me tell
her.
you and everybody
And he
at home.
acted like a child too.
Wait, this is so funny because
So along those lines, so we did a team building exercise a few months ago where we took a bike tour of the French Quarter, and part of that was signing a waiver where you had to put your birth date on it. And so everybody's just
he's
like
watching
really
right
staring,
now.
just
Wait,
staring
he's watching
staring to
right now,
see.
looking down at us.
And-
Go, "You did that."
Right, and I think it was Leslie Spoon. Leslie goes, "Guys, I saw it. Guys, Eric's in his 70s."
We all, he filled out the paper, and I think he was like, "I'm gonna use the restroom before the bike ride." We're like, "Okay." And he went in the bathroom, and all of us ran over, and we were like all trying to get a look, but he did that chicken scratch. So we're all like, "Is that a 4? No, is that
But
a?"
let me tell you something.
Oh my gosh.
Eric no
So
more
funny.
acted his age. I mean,
Right.
Peter Pan.
Yeah.
I remember, and that's why I loved Eric, because I grew up with 5 brothers, and Eric reminded me of my brothers. And we cut up, like sometimes we would go, "How old are we?"
Yeah.
Because we were talking about stupid stuff. And one thing I could never do is keep my emotions in. And Eric, in a commercial break when we were anchoring, would do some stupid thing. It's so stupid and so childish that I can't repeat some of the things he would say or do to make me laugh. And we would come back, you know, Alvin
he'd
would
be
go
so
in
calm.
5, and he'd turn to the camera and he'd
And
read
you'd
this
be
hard news story.
losing it.
And I was like, you know, when you're in mass and your parents are hitting you because you're not supposed to be
Yes.
laughing, and
So
I
then you
would
laugh
have
harder.
the suppressed laughter,
Wow,
and
glad
I
it wasn't
couldn't
just
read
me,
it,
Meg.
and I couldn't read it, and Eric would do that to me, and he got me every single time.
I got him good one
Every
morning
time.
because Dr. Abear was on and called him Pimpin' E. And you know, and he's like, "No, not these days anymore. You know, Bethany, no pimping about this anymore." And so we start the 6:30. You know, good morning, yada yada, and I'm here with Pimpin' E, and he was not ready for it and lost it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love when we could get it.
Yeah, when we could get
Yeah.
him.
Great.
And he had that laugh when you got him. It was such a hearty
Genuine.
laugh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, when
That
you
you
got him.
felt like, I made
Right,
it
it's
today.
like I got
Pat
him,
on my back.
got him.
I
But
got him.
He could get away with anything, but you know, one thing his wife Bethany had told me, she said, you know, Eric was joking to the very end, and he said to the doctor, he said, "I feel like I'm at my own wake. People are coming in here." So I was determined when I went to go tell him goodbye, I was determined that I was going to have fun with him.
Yeah.
So I walked in, and he was medicated, so he really wasn't talking. And I walked in and I grabbed his hand, I was rubbing his arm, and a few people were in there, and I said, "Eric Paulsen, finally. All those decades you told me I was wrong and you were right. All the little bit we got into each other." I said, "I finally get to tell you I was right, you were wrong about all those things, and you can't argue back." And I
I'm
said
surprised
to
he didn't
him,
wake up right then
Right,
just to
well,
tell you you're wrong.
He opened his eyes kind of big, and I said, "Squeeze my hand if you can hear me." And he, as best he could squeeze, he did.
God bless.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
for sitting here and sharing
Yeah.
this
Oh,
with us.
absolutely.
We're so happy you came to talk.
Absolutely.